Hello world, this video is just a coaching session between me and Washam. Megan is an aspiring Muay Thai fighter. She's had a few fights already, came out here to Thailand, spent about a month out here at Fairtex and really trying to develop herself and her career. So we sat down, we went through a coaching session. I think you can get a lot out of it, learning what areas Megan needs to develop, and also this is an example of how I coach people through social media. So if you have any questions, definitely contact me. If you're interested in coaching or anything about how I can help you, let me know. This does cut off towards the end, right before we go into our actual schedule. So I will put the schedule for her in the notes itself. So let me know if you have any questions, and thank you so much. Okay, hello everyone. This is myself, Matt Lucas, and this is
Megan Washam.
So today we're going to do a little bit about social media and basically an example coaching session, going over what Megan's social media is like and how we can do more with it and how we can get her to achieve her goals. So we talked a little bit about her plans and specifically her goals for the next 6 months and a year. We made a hit list of other females around the same weight class. To do that, we looked at USMF rankings, people that recently had fought, also derived the list from tournaments and other things about that. So now that we have this list of people, we have to figure out how we can fight them, because promoters are gonna match you up according to ticket sales, if they can fly you out, budget, and other things. One of the big things is social media presence. But first, before we sort of get into that aspect, let's just go over your social media presence. And when we think about this, we're sort of like thinking about you as a brand, because this is your fight career. So how would you describe yourself in terms of a brand? An easy way that I usually talk about it is 3 adjectives.
Like how my social media is now, or how I think it should be?
Let's do both.
Okay. I feel like my social media is very happy.
Yeah, cool.
I definitely sometimes get very cheesy and like to do the whole like inspirational deep quote, and then I think there's like a lot of variety on my social media, which I think is something that like I can use to kind of stand out. Like there is a lot of Muay Thai, but there's also like a lot of what I do with work and like other projects and personal things. So
okay. And so you said that's how you are now. How do you want to appear, or what is different now than what you want?
I think the general principles are the same, because that's like what's kind of authentic, and also I think what makes me stand out. But I think right now the type of content that I put out is definitely more geared towards like personal Instagram, like family and friends. And so maybe sometimes like captions are very specific, or it's just like a lot of pictures of life. And I think for me to be more intentional about kind of building a brand, I need to understand like, okay, well, how do these images and the content I'm putting out relate to people who don't know me? Which is an interesting challenge. Yeah. Because I feel like it's almost like when I post things that are very relevant to like my friends and family followers, I get really good engagement. And then I've noticed when I branch out and kind of post stuff that is where I think I need to go, I actually get a lot more engagement from strangers, and I start to get follows and stuff. But the friends and family that normally like engage a lot less. So it's almost like my posts in general will get less engagement, but reach a lot more new people, which I guess is kind of what you have to do to grow. but it's an interesting like, little predicament.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, in some ways it's the question of, do you want to keep this super personal, or do you want to be a public figure?
Yeah.
I think some people make the decision to just go fully public. Other people start a separate account just for friends and family.
Yeah.
Myself, I just do public stuff. And a lot of personal things that go on in my life don't go on the internet.
Yeah.
You know, I don't post a lot about my girlfriend. I don't post a lot about, you know, what I do outside of work. That's just me. That's my decisions. But I do think it is something you need to decide and navigate around.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Do you have any specific ideas about how you want to do that?
I think if I want to use my social media to kind of like accomplish what we were talking about, I need to kind of go more the public route, but I don't know. I think maybe there's a way like to be creative and find kind of that middle ground where it's still, because it's like really authentic and very much like, oh, this is who I am and this is what I'm doing. Like that would still appeal to kind of like friends and family, and like still using Instagram to kind of have that like personal connection, but then broadening up the messaging and things would also like draw in people that are more attracted to just like the Muay Thai or the way you said, like the public figure kind of aspect of the channel.
Because if you are an athlete, you are a public figure.
Yeah.
You get on the stage, you're a public figure. And so there's a lot of things that you have to do to, if you want to, you know, grow your fight career, you have to grow yourself as a public figure.
Yeah.
And there's different boundaries for everyone, and it's sort of, I think, a lot of trial and error. For me, I still follow, I keep my follower account pretty low, or in terms of the people I follow on Instagram at least. And the people I follow are, a lot of them are my friends and family.
Yeah, that makes
so
sense.
I can still see them and I still interact with them from my public account.
Yeah.
But the people that follow me and the content I produce is almost all public content.
Yeah.
So that's what I decided to do as the way I want to do it. Other people decide to do other things.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's definitely something to think about. And I think, you know, immediately moving forward, you should make some sort of decision about that, or maybe push in one way or another, and then redecide in maybe 6 months.
Okay.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the content, and specifically what you feel you're good at and what you feel like you're bad at in terms of being a public figure.
I think that having enough content that's like not repetitive is probably my biggest challenge. Because I do think like there's parts of social media I really enjoy. Like I actually have a really fun time like putting together reels and doing that side of things. And I think normally when I put in the time and effort and put something together, like it actually like is received pretty well. It's just I do that when I happen to like be out and like remember to take video or like have somebody take a picture or whatever. But I don't post as frequently as most people you would consider a public figure do, which I think definitely makes it feel more like a personal account. And I think that's just because I feel like I don't have enough content, or if I post, it'll be kind of repetitive of content I've already used before.
Okay, so I feel like there's two things there. There's one, the frequency, and then two is the content.
Yeah.
Just not having enough raw material. So in terms of the raw material, how do you think we can solve that? Or what are ways that you feel comfortable solving that?
I first of all think that just me remembering, because like I think it's great to live in the moment and all that, but here's an example, because I went to your seminar the other day, so it's kind of had in mind. It was top of mind since the seminar Saturday, and then Sunday I went with Ty and Ione from Fairtex to Koh Lan, the island, and so just kind of having in my mind like, oh, like this will be some like cool. This is definitely like an interesting little like trek away from training. But I never want to be like on my phone missing the moments, so I just remembered like every once in a while just catch like 2-second video clip or whatever, and that didn't really feel like, oh, I'm on my phone all the time, but I was still able to get the content, and then like I put together a reel, and like it was actually really fun to do and publish it. So I think just remembering and then kind of making that the habit of like capture this and not feeling like I have to make the content in that moment will help a lot. And then I also think just not being embarrassed or like hesitant to ask people to take photos. I don't know, it always just feels a little weird where it's like, hey, I've never been the person that's like, let's stop at this place and have somebody like else take a photo of us. So I think just developing that I don't care that I'm asking you to like take photos of me attitude.
Yeah, that makes sense. One of the things, whenever I've had photos taken, like in those situations, it's awkward. Yeah. But then I look at the photo in like a year or two, I don't remember the awkwardness. Yeah. And I just remember, I'm glad I took that photo. So I think if you think about your future self and how it's a positive experience, I think that may help with some of the embarrassment. Yeah. The other thing I thought that was smart that you did was you just take the content and you just hold on to it. Yeah. Which is something we'll talk a little bit about in a few minutes. But let's go back to that frequency question. So you said your frequency is not high. What is it now, and what would you like it to be?
I mean, probably right now, once a month or less. It's pretty much dependent on, to the point we just made. If something cool happens, I'll post about it. But yeah, it's very much dependent on like events, right? So like, of course, after every fight, it's super easy because there's great content. I can post I post a little more frequently maybe for like a week or two, and then it runs out, and then it's like, okay, well, then I post again next trip I take or next fight I have or kind of big event.
Yeah. So something we talked about off air was making the most of your time. Whether it's you're about to fight, you just fought, you lost a fight, anytime. I think there's always something cool that happens. And it's about, okay, how can we capture this? Yeah. And also, it goes back to that same sort of thing where your future self is going to look at it and be like, hey, that was a cool moment. I'm glad I captured that, and I can look back on it and reflect on it. Yeah. Whatever it is. I have some real shit photos that I've taken, and I'm sure you do, but I'm very glad that I took them because I'm like, oh, there's young pimply Matt, I'm kidding, I never had pimples, but I definitely was ugly. Young, ugly Matt, and just looking at that photo and thinking about it makes me, it makes me grow a little bit, and it makes me happy that I took it. So I guess the next thing then is, okay, how can we remember to take the content regularly? So I would say either you keep it top of mind or you schedule it out. The scheduling out is the best thing to do is to batch. And this is something that we will do together probably tomorrow. Is we will batch a bunch of content for you. So that moves us into our sort of next topic, which is what sort of topics and content do you want to make, and what resonates with you?
I mean, I think I kind of go about it a couple ways. I mentioned this earlier, but I do think that something I want to hold on to because I think it's authentic to me, but also maybe does separate me a little bit from, I don't know, you need something unique, right? Like if you're going to try to grow. So obviously Muay Thai is a very big part of my life, and like I think a cool part that a lot of people enjoy kind of seeing, but I also travel a lot, and you know, like I do random things. Like I just finished a home renovation with my dad and I just did an entire home renovation by ourselves, right? And I think the fact that there is like a little bit of diversity in like the types of things that I'm doing, like I don't want to kind of throw all that out and never mention it and just make it like a strictly Muay Thai account. So I think maybe that falls under like the entertainment piece of kind of mixing things up every now and then.
Okay, so you want to at least occasionally throw in this other stuff. That is definitely interesting. Like, you know, the story of I fought at USMTOs or I fought in TBAs, and at the same time I was renovating a house. That is definitely interesting. You know, I think that appeals to a lot of people because it's okay, you're challenging yourself and you're really challenging yourself by doing these two things. You know, on a personal level, obviously you need to figure out some life-work balance with all these different things. But people are going to be invested in that journey, and you are 100% going to fail sometimes. You know, but what matters is that you keep going and you keep at it. So, is there anything, I guess, because this is more Muay Thai related, is there specific things that you like or people that you admire, you know, content creators or whatever, that you're like, I like Liam Harrison's style. I want to just post videos of myself fighting and knocking people out. You know, Angela Chang does a lot of memes. You know, I do like news. You know, different people have sort of different unique selling points. Kevin Ross does a lot of inspirational stuff. You know, Janet Todd will talk a lot about female empowerment, you know, things like that. Do you feel like there is anything in that regard that resonates with you?
Yeah, I think like the inspirational side does, like so literally when I was like a kid playing softball, when I didn't feel like training, I would go watch like Nike ads on YouTube. Like this is how cheesy I go on the inspirational front. So like even the super cheesy stuff, like it really does get me going, and therefore I feel like sometimes writing it out, even like to share on social media, I do it because it motivates me to go do what I need to do. And then I also think something that's always cool to me is, I think there's several people that kind of work this into their social media, but I love people that showcase progress. I think that's inspirational, but also kind of like on the educational side of like, I've gone from like A to B and like, here's how I did it. So one of the things about the self-motivation is Janet Todd, who we just mentioned, does a lot of affirmation stuff. She doesn't post about it, but she talks about it in her interviews. And I've interviewed her a handful of times, and she talks about her affirmations. Kevin Ross also does it. You see, if you can read Thai, the Thai guys do a lot of affirmations, like on social media. So Naklab will write, you know, positive inspirational quotes and stuff. Is pretty interesting. But you know, that might be something that you want to do as okay, maybe we make it a content pillar, you know, a piece of content that we're doing once a week or 2 times a week, or it's something that you're doing regularly, or you know, talking about your, you know, if we want to do a progress, okay, the progress of your, you know, your mindset. I actually really like that. I'm super into sports psychology and like sports neuroscience. I have a dream of, in my later years, becoming a sports neuroscientist.
Yeah, that's cool.
So yeah, I actually, now that you mention it, like I think that would be something that I'd really enjoy. Number one, because I like to read about that a lot and like research, and I think having a place to put some of that, it motivates me to go learn more. But it's also just, something that I find really interesting. So like the mindset.
I know, since I look at the internet a fair amount, that there are very few people that do sports psychology specific stuff, especially in Muay Thai. However, there's, a lot of stuff in other sports like basketball, baseball, blah, 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 that definitely relates to Muay Thai. And if you can sort of, if you want to make that your unique selling point, I would definitely encourage it.
Cool. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Because you can do, self-motivational stuff, and at the same time showcase progress with your own and maybe others or whoever.
Yeah.
So that might be a big thing. Is there other, more day-to-day stuff that you like or dislike? Types of content. You're like, oh, I really love pictures, or I really love reels. I like when people do fast transitions.
I do really like reels.
Okay.
That's something I really enjoy making. Probably because it's like not just somebody else taking a photo of me, but I get to kind of have fun with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you like some level of self-control.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what do you like about it? What sort of aesthetic do you like?
I think the most fun part to me and like reels that I really like is just that moment when you can kind of find like the exact right song, and then I think the cool transitions. It's crazy how just like the right video and the right song can really make it super engaging video. Or like if you put the wrong content with the wrong song, it's like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, I understand. One of my favorite TikToks I ever made, which is basically a reel. I want to show it to you because I really feel like I nailed this. It's a little bit ago. Let me see. It took me a long time to make.
They do take a lot of effort.
This was on TikTok. And I was very, very active in doing TikToks daily for about a year.
Wow.
Okay, it's this one.
Okay, I'm ready.
Ready?
It's hilarious.
Yeah. It didn't get that many views, but I loved it, and it was actually very interesting because I went to Phuket Fight Club like the day after, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, I saw your TikTok. It was crazy." It was just me in the shower.
That's so funny.
I had to stand in the shower for like 10 minutes to get this shot to work. But I knew, like, I was like, this song.
You had a vision.
I had this vision. I was like, oh. The reason why I'm asking you about what sort of content you like is because the content you like is the content you will do. It's, I can be like, oh, Megan, do more photos, but if you don't like photos, you're just not going to do them.
Yeah.
So it's more important to get, okay, what do you like? The thing about Reels is it does expand your reach a lot. So that's good, and they tend to be trending as well, which has pros and cons to it as well. When a lot of times when you get trending followers, they are trending followers. So it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be authentically engaged with you. They might be like, oh, this was an amazing reel, follow, and then you post, a reel about your home renovation,
Yeah.
and they're not going to be engaged.
That makes sense.
So you just need to realize that and either counteract that or balance it in some way. But it's also something I wouldn't say you need to immediately think about.
And I also enjoy photos. I just feel like with photos, it's like if I have access to somebody else, I almost feel like photos have to be higher quality. If that makes sense. So like reels, you can take fairly good snapshots of video, but because it's not like staying on the screen that long, it can feel like a very high quality reel, but it's really just something like you shot super quickly on your phone versus I like to post higher quality photos on my Instagram. And so I'll really only post those if it's like somebody that knows how to take, that's a photographer or that like did a really good job, gives it to me.
Yeah. I understand that, but I also think it's hurting you. And as like a content creator, it's sort of like, oh, this needs to be perfect. And if you're always looking for perfect, you're never actually going to get it done. My general rule of thumb is 80%. If it passes my 80% mark, I ship it. Okay, is it perfect? No, but it might be perfect for the person watching it. And I don't necessarily get to decide if this piece of content is amazing or not. The world gets to decide. And then the other thing is, you can make up the lack of quality with other aspects. So your captions and whatnot. You can put a shitty photo of yourself as a kid, ugly Matt, but ugly baby Matt, but now it's like, oh, but people know I'm grown up.
Is that gonna be one of your new content pillars?
Ugly baby Matt.
Every Thursday.
I got rid of a lot of my ugly baby photos. So that is something to think about. Okay, so let's move on a little bit. How much time are you spending on social media and media in general? And how much time are you willing to spend on it as well?
I'm willing to spend, I don't know, so, like we kind of said, first of all, like if somebody, I think the batching and like scheduling and stuff is fine. Like I'm pretty fine with that because I've had to do it before for work. So like I definitely don't mind scheduling out and kind of doing the work to just think through like what I want to post every day and all of that. And then on the photo side, like I said, normally that's other people that like take photos or whatever, so that doesn't really require a lot from me beyond like maybe editing. And then the reels I actually enjoy putting together, so again, don't mind kind of working on that. But I feel like it's reasonable to put all of like a week's content together in like an hour or so.
I would say if you sit down and concentrate, I would say an hour to 2. And then I would also say if you spend about 15 minutes a day just on the app itself, either I talked about the Gary V 2-cent method. Basically just engage with people and just spend 15 minutes a day. So it's not, I don't think it's that much. Obviously I do a lot more, but my position is different. Okay, and then where are you spending most of your time on media?
Social media? I mean, right now I mainly use it to like message friends, like engage with friends. But then if I think about content-wise, like probably repeating myself, but like reels. But I don't mind that. Like, sometimes I just get sucked into like the black hole of like I need to get this to like 0.089 seconds, so it hits the transition.
Okay, cool. So we have a basic idea of what type of content, a lot of different things. So we sort of hit on the 3 aspects like inspiration, teach, and entertain. You definitely seem like you're more geared toward the inspiration side, Something you can teach though is a sports psychology bit.
Yeah.
You do have an athletic background, so you can talk about team dynamics more. And then the entertainment side can just be in the quality of your reels or things like that. So let's do a little bit of nuts and bolts. Let's figure out a content schedule for you.
Okay.
So let's do. So how many times do you want to post a week?
I would say maybe to start like 2 to 3 would be good.
Okay. Let's say 3 to 5.
Okay.
Okay, because you need to be showing up consistently.
Okay.
I feel like 2 to 3 times people are gonna miss it.
Okay.
Because there is a lot of stuff.
Like, comment, subscribe, and